Namaste, Swagatam, Namaskaram, Vandanam. Welcome everyone to this evening's Yoga Manthan session with our most respected Yogacharya Prashant Iyengar Ji. Let us begin by invoking our great rishis and their wisdom that enables us to all grow together and glow together in yoga. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. It gives me great pleasure this evening to have this opportunity to introduce our respected speaker of today's Manthan session, Shri Prashant Iyengar Ji. Namaskar Ji, and welcome to this evening's session. Prashant Ji is the lineage holder and the current director of the Ramamani Iyengar Memorial Yoga Institute. Prashant Ji is blessed to be the son, the successor, the student, and the propagator of the tradition today known worldwide as the Iyengar tradition of yoga that was codified and spread to every nook and corner of this planet by his illustrious father, Padma Vibhushan Shri V.K.S. Iyengar Ji. I would like to point out that Shri V.K.S. Iyengar Ji was the founder president of the Indian Yoga Association. And today the association is growing in leaps and bounds with his divine blessings. The Ramamani Iyengar Memorial Yoga Institute received the first ever Prime Minister's Award for outstanding contribution to the promotion of yoga. And Shri Prashant Ji is currently director of that prestigious institute. He is a philosopher, a devout sadhaka, and an erudite scholar on the scriptures and texts of this living tradition of yoga. He is a prolific writer and orator who has penned more than 25 books on various aspects of yoga, including the Chitta Vijnana of yoga and Adhyatmik Shastra. And I found this very interesting, Ji, the Alpha Omega of Trikonasana. That really intrigued me when I heard that title itself. His YouTube channel has more than 400 talks on the Yoga Sutras in English and also in Marathi. He guides his students all over the world to get educated and immersed in the subject of yoga through the exploration of the body, mind, and breath in the practice of asana, pranayama, in tune with the philosophical and spiritual aspects of yoga. It is to be noted that he is an accomplished violinist. As a musician myself, that really resonates with my heart deeply, sir. And his love for music reverberates in his teachings. I believe that if we can make music, if we can resonate with music, we are in tune with that universal anahata also. With this very brief introduction to a very great son of Mother Yoga, I invite our respected speaker for today, Prashant Iyengar Ji, to take the center stage and give us this priceless wisdom of the rishis flowing through you, sir, this evening. Namaskar. Ji, we need to unmute. I'm sorry. I think Somehow the mute button is on your. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Ji.
Namaskar, Bhavnani ji. Thanks for your brief but profound introduction. I'm extremely grateful for that, and I express my gratitude. And I welcome all of you, those who are participating today. It's the first time that we are together. I am talking to you for the first time. So my heartfelt thanks to the association, Indian Yoga Association, and those who suggested that I should be coming today. So this is a great opportunity for me to be talking to you. At the outset, let me commence by saying that today yoga is growing far and wide, engulfing the whole planet. It is becoming a global uh, culture, global pursuit. And it is growing far and wide by day, week by week, month by month, year by year. It will do decade by decade as well. But we as Indians have a great responsibility to see that we are going towards our roots, not get carried away by the way yoga is spreading. It is because of time and space situation that yoga has global appeal, and we have a lot of scope to go around the world and do for the world and embrace the whole world for the sake of yoga. But we as Indians, we need to have our cord and we must trace our roots, because as the time is such a great factor, kalaya tasmai namaha is what our ancient wisdom has been telling us, that we might drift away from our traditional yoga in our enthusiastic pursuit to propagate yoga. So we often have to look at our roots. We often have to see that we are having a strong bondage and cord with our classical yoga. Therefore, we must be basically, as we pursue yoga, we must be students of history of yoga. It is so important that we are students of history of yoga, not just deal with the yoga that is at the present, at the moment, considered, labeled as yoga. And as all of you are aware, it has become yoga all over the world. And unfortunately, in India also, it has become yoga. So it is important for all the students and teachers of yoga to be students of history of yoga. So this is my humble request to all those who are pursuing yoga, formally or informally, professionally or vocationally, or as a hobby, or as what we call as vyasanga. One may not be in a profession of it, but still one can be a serious pursuant of yoga. So our time yoga has great limitations in a sense. Asana pranayam has become yoga. Maybe asana pranayam and so-called meditation might be yoga. Let me tell you here, we should do away with the word meditation. Meditation is not yoga. Yoga doesn't have meditation. Yoga is not for meditation. Yoga doesn't speak about meditation. Meditation has a limited connotation because it is a word from uh, Western psychology. There's something called as higher faculty functions. These are normal faculty functions that we hear, we think, we empirical thought process, Gyanendriya process, mind process, intellectual process, analytical process, thought processes. So these are all temporal and empirical processes. So these are normal brain functions, normal faculty functions that we see, we hear, we sense, we feel, we think, we know as well. So these are all empirical processes, temporal processes, cerebral processes. So there is something called as normal faculty functions with which we are all familiar, and throughout our awakeful state, we are embracing the normal faculty functions. But the psychology speaks about something called as higher faculty functions. Now that is exceptional, not that everyone every time will do. Someone will do sometimes. All we do for sometimes will adhere to higher faculty functions. What are these higher faculty functions? The Western science itself has said so. I don't have to prove anything here. Higher faculty functions are pensivity, reflectivity, meditativity. These are higher faculty functions. So meditativity is something that is the subject matter of psychology. So we should know what is meant by pensivity, reflectivity, and meditativity. And then we will realize yoga is not speaking of meditation. Yoga speaks about dhyana. Dhyana sadhana. Dharana, dhyan, samadhi put together is dhyana sadhana. We might do compartmentally. While in our type yoga, there has been a great mistake that Ashtanga yoga has been described and it is delineated in English, uh, enumerated in English. So Ashtangas, you know, Yama, Niyam, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. And they are rendered into English for the English community to understand what are yamas. So they say restraints, observances. Yamas have become, they are called restraints. Niyamas are called observances. Well, there can be not much objection here. But the asanas have become postures. Now, this is attracting a lot of objections. Asanas are not postures. Asana literally means seat. Asyate anena iti asanam. So we vernacular people will know asana is a seat. While all the postures of yoga are not seated postures. There are standing postures, there are inversions, there are prone, supine positions. Not that every time we sit for every asana. So we have a class called standing asanas. We stand. Posturally, physically we stand. Then why is it that yoga calls it asana? Who sits? Who should be seated? It is not necessary that the body should be seated. It's a seat for chitta. Chitta should be seated, whether you are upright or inverted, supine, prone, forward bending, backward bending, lateral rotation. the body will do all kinds of those movements because there are 8.4 billion asanas. That means countless. It's not exactly 8.4 million, but countless asanas. Absolutely countless. You cannot number as to how many asanas are there. So you have various body positions for different asanas. But however, they're all asanas, yoga asanas, shirshasana. You are not supposed to call it headstand. The chitta should be seated in headstand. Sarvangasana called shoulder stand. It is not that you have to stand on your shoulders. The chitta should be seated. You have to give seat to chitta. Chitta must be seated, which implies it must be settled. Chitta is settled. Chitta is settled for its processes. So asana has been rendered as posture. I don't want to go much in details of it. I'll just give a little introduction to it. Why asanas are not posture. And therefore, in education of yoga, I say that there is a formula for asana. What is asana? Asana is posture plus breathesture plus gesture. Now it should be in sense of a matter of inquiry for all of you. What is meant by posture? Posture is something of the body. Body position, body configuration, posture, breathesture. If there is a posture, there is a breathesture. Your breathing will be changing depending upon your posture. If you stand, it's one kind of breathing. If you sit, it's another kind of breathing. Even if I just raise my arms up, it is a different kind of breathing. If I keep the arms behind, another kind of breathing. So there is also breathesture. Like there is a posture, configuration of body, we have to understand concept of configuration of breath and breathing. There is mind gesture. Mind also. So, for convenience of the neophytes, beginners, in order that they don't confuse asanas as postures, I say asanas are posture plus breathesture plus mind gesture. Then, basically, asana is a seat. And what is seat for chitta? You might stand, but the chitta has to be settled. It should be comfortable in seated position. See, when you want to be thinking, somebody says, please sit. You don't walk and think. You don't run and think. So it implies that if you want to be thoughtful, you must sit. So the chitta should be given a seat. Whatever might be the configuration of the body, condition of the body, maybe even contortion of the body, chitta should be seated. And chitta can do that because chitta is chemical substance. We all think body is physical, which again can be, there can be argument about it. Body is not physical. Body is a chemical complex. The skin has a chemical formula. The skin is constantly turned out by chemical processes. Muscles and flesh and bones, they are all turned out by chemical processes. So there is chemistry for skin, flesh, muscles, bones, tissues, etc., etc. So body is apparently physical, but it is all chemical. That's why you come to know in dietetics, this is good for skin. Eat this, it is good for skin. This vitamin is good for skin. This item of food is good for skin. This is good for muscles. So muscles require protein. Bones require calcium. So we need these vitamins and minerals and proteins and whatnot. Are they physical or are they chemical? They have all chemical properties. So our physical body matter is constantly renewed. It is renewable body matter. Although we don't flake the skin like cobra does, In subtle form, we are flaking this skin, and in matter of time, the new skin will be coming up. It's a process, not that we flake the skin and new skin is put on, like we put on a new clothes. But the skin is constantly changing. Muscles are constantly changing. They're all renewable matter. They're renewed. We live for 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years. And all these matters are renewed. Certain matters are renewed on with a cycle of weeks, and some are months, some cycle of maybe more than month or. But anyway, hair, skin, everything is renewable. We say hair is growing, hair grows. We don't say skin is growing. Hair grows. But it is renewed. And it is all chemical. Therefore, body is a chemical complex. Body is a chemical complex, but appears to be physical matter. Anyway, that is for you to further have a thought process on it. Chitta. Chitta is a substance. Like water is a substance. Water will settle down in any container. It can be vertical container, it can be horizontal container, it can be round container, it can be triangular container, it can be haphazard container, it can be rectangular container, it can be square, it can whatever, it can be even unshapely container. Water will settle down. Water doesn't complain. The water bottle that you keep on your table, water doesn't say, please lay me at night, I want to sleep. Water bottle can be vertical. It doesn't say, please put me in a spreaded vessel at night, I want to spread and relax. The water anyway settles down, even if the bottle is disfigured, contorted, the container of unusual shape, irregular shape, water doesn't complain. Why? It is liquid. It is substance. Chitta is a substance. Chitta is eternal substance. It doesn't take a birth and have a death. It's an eternal substance. So it is capable of settling down. And therefore, settling down means what? Sit. It will be seated figuratively. Anyway, so let's proceed from asana to pranayama. Now, pranayama has become breath control. Pranayama has become breath control. This is highly objectionable. Pranayama should not be translated as breath control, breath regulation. You want to regulate the breath, or you want you to be regulated by breath? Tell me. If you are going for pranayama, do you want to regulate the breath primarily, and that's the be all and end all, or do you want yourself to be regulated by the breath? So is it breath regulation or breath regulator? So we all look for breath to be a regulator of our mind rather than only regulating the breath. Anyway, that's a faulty connotation. It should not be rendered as breath control. Breath is not pran, pran is not breath. Pran has no word in any other language. Breath is a vehicle of pran. The pran flows through the breath. That's a vehicle. So we are referring to the vehicle of the pran, and we say this is pranayama. It is shvasayam. So we should not confuse between shvasayam and pranayam, which is presently the condition that it is mistaken that we do shvasayam and say, this is pranayam. So pranayam should not be translated into English. It is pran. Pran is Vishwa Chaitanya Shakti. This definition was revived by Gorakshanath. And this is an ancient concept which comes in the Devi Rahasya. It is Vishwa Chaitanya Shakti. Our breath is not universal. Nothing is universal in our breath. It is personal breath. Chaitanya Shakti. Okay, the breath gives you animation. You are animated, you live because of the breath. But Chaitanya is something different than being just animate. Because if someone is unconscious, we say the Chaitanya is lost, but the person is living. Comatic person, a person in coma is living, person unconscious is living, but the Chaitanya is not there. That's why the person cannot respond, recognize. Why? Because unconscious. Unconscious state is not a dead state, living state. Chaitanyam is something else. In Devi Saptashati you get it. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Chetane Chetane iti abhidhiyate. Namastasya, 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 namo namaha. What is Chaitanya? It is a philosophical term, it's a mysterious term, it is a metaphysical term. So it is Vishwa Chaitanya Shakti. Our breathing is personal breath. We are taking from atmosphere, we are not taking from cosmos. We are not taking from Vishwa. In that case, we would have gone to outer planets without oxygen cylinder. We would have gone out of the galaxy without oxygen cylinder. We can't. We have to take oxygen cylinder. So we are inhaling oxygen. Whereas pranayama is Vishwa Chaitanya Shakti. It is universal. Oxygen is not universal. You don't get oxygen on moon, which is hardly 235,000 miles. You don't get oxygen on the moon even. You don't get the moon once you cross the atmosphere of the earth, which is about 250, 300 miles. Once you cross it, you need to have your oxygen. Well, before that, we need to have oxygen. Today, we go to Himalayas, 15,000 and 18,000 feet, we carry the oxygen cylinder because the oxygen is scanty. It's not sufficient for our breathing. And that's why we carry oxygen cylinder when we go to Himalayas. So what we are inhaling is oxygen, nitrogen. How do you say it is universal? It is only in the earth, atmosphere of the earth. Anyway, Shwasayam or Bredayam is not pranayam. So we need to have amendments done there. We have to have some kind of a say to the world that you cannot render these into your language. Then comes Pratyahara. Pratyahara, it is rendered as abstraction of the senses. That's a part of Pratyahara. To have the senses abstracted from their objects is a part of it. But Pratyahara is Pratyahara. Pratyahara is not making the senses starve. We don't make the senses starve because of Pratyahara. It is Pratyahara. It is unusual kind of food. It is an ahar. It is not anahar. Pratyahara is not anahar. Anahar means to be fasting, not to eat. So it is Pratyahara. So what is Pratyahara? What is that food which usually senses don't take it? But they have potentials to take it. They have objects spiritually inside, and they take those objects. They are engaged there, therefore disengaged from Vishayas and objects. Swa-Vishaya Asamprayoge. Swa-Vishayas. Shabda Sparsha Rupa Rasa Gandha are their Vishayas. And these Indriyas are not only Gnana Indriyas. So we need to know the yogi, the idea of yoga about Shariram. It is Indriya Sanghata. So we have so many Indriyas. Gyanendriya 5, Karmendriya 5, Antarendriya 3 or 4, Sharirendriyas. We have Sharirendriyas. We don't have anatomy. The word is anatomy, anatomiya. The word in English is anatomy. Anatomy can be easily related to word anatomiya, non-self. So the body is non-self. So Sharirendriyas, there are Indriyas to Shariras. And that's why we say Pachanendriya, Shvasanendriya, Jananendriya. These are all indrias and not senses, not organs. English calls them organs of body and senses of cognition and conation. But they are all indriyas. So karmendriya, jnanendriya, manasendriya, sharirendriya. Indriya is again a word which we must be having a probe. What is indriya? It is not organ. Indriya is not organ. Like we all Indians, we say, I am Bharatiya. They are Bharatiya. What is Bharat? Bharat is the Varsha. Bharat is the Desha. Bharat is the country. So we are all Bharatiya, which means Indians. So that suffix, Jaliya, Agneya, Vayaveya, Bharatiya, we have to understand a little linguistic understanding should be there. What is of Bharata is Bharatiya. So what is of Indra is Indriya. Who is Indra? Indra is the king of all gods. Indra, Mahendra, Indra is the king of all gods. So that's the celestial aspects in us. We are not terrestrial whole and whole. We are constituted by the celestial aspects in us. And all our parts of the body parts, Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, Manasendriyas, Sharirendriyas, they are all celestial. That's why they have unique ability and capacity. If you live for 100 years, that means your heart is living for 100 years. No part of a car or vehicle can be living for so many years. You have to change it every 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years. We don't go on changing our hearts every 10 years. We don't go on changing liver, stomach, colon, bladder, spleen, pancreas, intestine, duodenum. It's a marvel that they work lifelong. Life might be 40, 50 years of age or 100 plus years of age. So it's a great marvel that we have to have the study of these indriyas and not just anatomy. It's a great marvel how the liver works, how the heart works. Now we know how the brain works. It's mind-boggling. How the heart works is mind-boggling. How kidneys work is mind-boggling. We don't consider it. Kidney is such a small organ, you know the dimension of it. But there are millions of filters in one kidney. See the microstructure of it. What is after all the size of a kidney? And then there are billions of filters in it. So lung, heart, any organ, as student of yoga, we have to understand it in different dimension than the medical science understands. We have to appreciate the marvel that each organ is a marvel. See, the car runs only on a petrol or a particular specific fuel, or today running on electricity, running on batteries, running on electricity, running on diesel, running on petrol. But our digestive system, we eat anything and everything every day. Does it complain? It will put up with it. So you can't pour tea or coffee in your car and say, come on, car, run. It will say, give me petrol. It will only run on petrol. Petrol car cannot be filled with a diesel. Diesel car cannot be given electric supply. It will say only diesel, only petrol, only electricity, only battery, only solar battery. But our edible system, our eating system, even we eat nasty food, and more often it processes it and doesn't complain. So we go by every kind of cuisine. The card doesn't say change my cuisine today. Don't give me the same. I am fed up with petrol. Pour some coffee and tea or some Coca-Cola in my tank, and I will run on Coca-Cola. It doesn't do that. It cannot do that. But see, the human system, what it eats, it makes you. The petrol doesn't become car. Electricity doesn't become car. It runs on petrol, it runs on electricity. But the food that you eat, suppose you take a glass of water, soon it will become you. If you are a man, it will become man. If you are a woman, it will become woman. If you are old, it will become old. If you are young, it will become young. So it becomes you. How does this process take place? What is this catalytic converter that all that you eat becomes you? Skin, flesh, muscles, bones, tissues, body matter, mind matter. Annamayahi saumyamanaha. Chandogya Upanishad. Annamayahi saumyamanaha. Food can become your mind. We know that food becomes body because of food, skin, flesh, muscles, bones, tissue, they're all nourished and we all develop, and that's why the bones are formed, muscles are formed, skin is formed. Food. So the food becomes all that. Petrol doesn't become car. Petrol doesn't become the wheel of the car. Petrol doesn't become the steering of a car. Petrol doesn't become the seat in the car. Petrol only runs the car. But here the food becomes us. So there is a beautiful definition which comes in Taittiriya Upanishad. So it is a mysterious statement, so we won't go into details of it, meaning of it. Food is that when eaten, it eats you. Therefore, ultimately, we all go back to food. Annat bhavati bhutani, antena jatani jivanti, annam prayatna bhiti. We all become food ultimately. We eat food and we become food. And even during the lifetime, we eat the food and the food becomes us. Food becomes our body, food becomes our mind. So this is the enormous archetypal mind behind our embodiment. So we have to understand what is this body. Anyway, indriyas, sharirendriyas, karmendriyas, jnanendriyas, manasendriyas, all are subjected to pratyahara and not just five senses. You can't say, let my motor organs be functional and I am in pratyahara. The karmendriyas, jnanendriyas, sharirendriyas, manasendriyas, it is with respect to all the indriyas. But we have translated indriyas as senses, and therefore we say sensory abstraction. It is not just sensory abstraction, cognitive, and systemic body organs, indriyas, manasendriyas, they all are under pratyahara. Anyway, I cannot say much in 1 hour. That's about pratyahara. Dharana, concentration. A severe objection to it. Concentration is a sensory act. Where do you concentrate? You concentrate on a sensory object. Now, if you already have pratyahara, where are the senses to concentrate? Tell me. The manasendriya also has been gone into pratyahara. How can the mind concentrate when the mind is not mind at all? So concentration is the wrong word. Concentration is usually in with sensory objects. The word, which is not a sensory object, how will you concentrate? Tell me. It should be visual object, auditory object, some object, so that you will say, yes, I am concentrating. Concentration is the wrong word. Severe objection should be taken by those who are really orthodox practitioners of yoga. So concentration, meditation, and trance. We should do away with these translations. They will not be endorsed by the tradition of yoga. Concert is a Western concept. They have their own thought process behind concentration, meditation. I told you just about meditation. It's a higher faculty function. Pensivity, reflectivity, meditativity. And then trance. So, samadhi is not trance, dhyana is not meditation, dharana is not concentration. So, we must have appraisal and not just go with the flow, but brush aside all those things and okay, endorse with everything. And therefore, Ashtanga Yoga has been translated into English, which should be objected by a body like us. We are Indian Yoga Association. We are all dedicated to yoga. We practice yoga. We revere yoga. We have high esteem for yoga. We should not be compromising so much. This is my very, very humble beseech request that we need to have appraisal about this. So today, pranayam and shvasayam are synonyms. We do shvasayam and say it is pranayam. Let's slightly look into the tradition. What is pranayam? Pranayam has been classified. There are classifications. One of the major classifications of pranayam is either amantrak or samantrak, traditionally. This is the basic classification of amantrak, samantrak. Where does in Shvasayam our amantrak, samantrak come? We just do Shvasayam. Slow inhalation, slow exhalation, deep exhalation, profound inhalation, profound exhalation. That is not pranayam. So there are classifications, and the first classification is samantrak, amantrak. Then you have bahya vritti, abhyantara vritti, sambha vritti. I don't have to explain because we are all quite well versed with Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Bahya vritti, abhyantara vritti, sambha vritti. Desha paridrushta, kala paridrushta, sankhya paridrushta, dirgha and sukshma. This has been clearly given in Patanjali's definition. The point is, pranayam is either amantrak or samantrak. Samantrak means with the mantras, such as Om, such as Gayatri, such as Shadakshari, Ashtakshari, Dvadashakshari, Trayodashakshari. There are mantras which we are all familiar with this. So when the mantra is in our breath, then it becomes samantrak. What about amantrak? Amantrak is not without mantra. That's not the meaning. Amantrak pranayam means taking recourse to Svaravarnas. Shabda Brahma. You know pranayam definition just now I told you about. It is Adi Shakti. It is Adi Maya. And therefore it is Vishwa Chaitanya Shakti. Now how is this Adi Maya? Adi Maya, you know, there are 51 Shakti Pithas in Bharatavarsha. There are 51 Shakti Pithas. Why 51? Why not 108? Why 51? Why not 10? Why not 3? Why not 8? Why not 12? Why 51 Shakti Pithas? What are 51 Shakti Pithas? Each of the Shakti Pitha has one letter. And therefore, there is a beautiful Upanishad called Aksha Mala Upanishad. What is Aksha Mala? Aksha is not eyes. Aksha is to ksha. And that Upanishad beautifully describes in the cosmic creation what comes from what comes from what comes from what comes from I, O, etc., up to sh. And that's why the Upanishad is called Akshamala Upanishad. So these Swaravarnas, because you should know pranayama has to do something by for pranamaya kosha, something by, something on, something in, something with, something due to pranamaya kosha. That's why it is called pranayama. It is not called langaya. It's not lungs. It's not just lungs. It is the pranamaya kosha. It is initializing, initiated, circumscribed, circumscribing, including pranamaya kosha. What is this pranamaya kosha? How is the pranamaya kosha constituted? We need to go to the tradition. We need to go to the text of yoga, traditional, textual tradition, and our Guru Parampara tradition. But we have lost it today. So we need to re-establish our connect with them. So pranamaya kosha is made up of Shat chakras. Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipuraka, Anahata, Vishuddhi, Agnya. Shat chakras. What is the role of Shat chakras in our manifestation? It has a great contribution. We have, because Mooladhara means Mooladhara Vasana, Mooladhara Samskar, Swadhisthana Vasana, Swadhisthana Samskar, Manipuraka Vasana, Manipuraka Samskar, Anahata Vasana, Anahata Samskar, Vishuddhi Vasana, Vishuddhi Samskar, Agnya Vasana, Agnya Samskar. Vasana Samskar combination is all stemming from kosha, these pranamaya kosha chakras. Now these pranamaya chakras, how they are depicted? They are deva devatas. They have source for 5 elements. Prithvi, Aptej, Vayu, Akash. Lam, Vam, Ram, Yam, Ham. Om. So there are 5 elements, and therefore Lam, Vam, Ram, Yam, Ham, and Agnya, Om. And then they have petals 4, 6, 10, 12, 16, 2, and then Sahasrara, thousands. So they have petals. These petals, each of the petals contains Bija mantra. Mooladhara has 4, Vam, Sham, Sham, Sam. So you will see that all these letters, 50 letters are in these 50 petals. There are 50 petals and therefore 50 letters at the Om Bija mantra. So pranamaya kosha has been depicted with the aksharas. We call them akshara. We don't call them letters. Akshara. Kshara. You know what is the meaning of it? Akshara. Letters are not eternal, but the aksharas are eternal, essentially, quintessentially. That's why we call them akshara. Akara adik shakaranta aksharas. A to Z letters in English. A to Z letters. But A to Ksha, Akshara. They are all Aksharas. That means they are eternal because they are form Devi, Adimaya. So that is little esoteric aspect which you must be familiar with. So when you start using these swaras and varnas, you are supposed to use swaras and varnas in pranayama, otherwise it doesn't become pranayama. Otherwise it remains as shwasayama. So that is amantrak and samantrak pranayama are only endorsed in Yoga Shastra. There is no third kind of pranayama, only two kinds. Samantrak, amantrak. So you must be familiar with this postulation of the text and postulation of the tradition of yoga. So, coming to the final point of the day today yoga has become primarily remedial science. Every institution claims and also propagates yoga as a remedy for physical mental problems, physical mental diseases. Disease is dis-ease. When there is a dis-ease in body, dis-ease in mind, we need to take medicine. But today, our time, yoga has become remedial. Unfortunately, all the masters are claiming that yoga is remedial, and therefore yoga has become for health. Yoga is not for health. Health is by process of yoga. Yoga is not targeting to give you good health. It's a byproduct of yoga, that process of yoga, yogic life, yogic lifestyle, yogic conduct, yogic practices of kriyas, mudras, bandhas, pranayamas, etc. They will give you health. They are not meant for health. But today's yoga for health. And we are pushing yoga. A generation will come, it will see the hollowness in it, the hoax in it, and will blame us. Because this is the history of mankind. We are blaming our previous generations for what they believed, what they did, what they thought, what they idealized, what they embraced. So we are blaming the previous generations. This is the history of mankind. And that will repeat. And therefore, we as Indians, we must see that we have strong cord with the classical yoga, quintessential yoga, essential yoga, traditional yoga, textual tradition, and the parampara tradition. Both. Yoga is not for health, but health is by yoga. So ponder over this statement. But today we are all pushing this statement: yoga is for health, yoga is for health, yoga is for health. People are seeking health, they will come to you. But the health is outcome of yoga. It's an incidental factor. It is a byproduct. Health is a byproduct. Yoga is not aiming at giving you health. It is aiming at giving you paramartha. It is aiming at giving you the supraconscious mind. That is what yoga is aiming at. But in the process, you will be gaining your physical mental health. So that is one thing that we need to set right the things before it is too late, before it becomes almost an inscription on human minds that yoga is for health. So also, in the propagation fervor, last more than 100 years, there has been fervor for propagation of yoga. Nothing wrong. It was needed and it is justified. But something has to be done on that front. Yoga is not for one and all. But one and all or everyone has something in yoga. Yoga is not meant for everyone, but everyone has something in yoga. So we'll have to change the statement. And just now, we were dealing with yoga as a health science, is the pathy. It's a great solution to our health problems. This is why the yoga is pushed far and wide in the world, because people believe that yes, it is giving health, so let me do it. It gives health, let me do it. It gives me physical health, mental health, let me do it. It gives me, so today they say physical health, mental health, spiritual health, let me do it. It's not for health. If had it been for a health, I will make a last statement of the day. If yoga is for health, why the health should be obstruction to yoga? Patanjali in his sutra, first chapter, Antarayas. Vyadhi is an antaraya. It is the first and foremost obstructor, impediment. If it is a pathy, disease is not an obstruction for medical science. Disease is a challenge for medical science. Disease is encouragement for medical science. The medical science will evolve, will research and research and research and evolve if the diseases come around. So disease is not an obstruction to medicine. The medicine thrives on diseases. Is that right? Medical science thrives on diseases. Suppose there is no disease in the world at all for some reason. Let's have utopian idea that a time comes that there are no diseases at all. No one has any disease. What will happen to medical science? It will be paralyzed. It will die a death. So vyadhi, the roga, the vyadhi, adhivyadhi, or the vyadhi and the roga of body and mind are obstructions to yoga, and the first and foremost. It is not one of the obstructions. He puts it in the first place. Vyadhi, sthana, samshaya, pramada, alasya, etc. Vyadhi is his first place. Now, if it is an obstruction for Patanjali, how come today's acharyas, yogacharyas say Vyadhi is countered by yoga? Yogena chittasya padena vacha balam sharirasya cha vedyakena. You know this beautiful kind of preamble to Yoga Tika by Bhojaraja. It is composition ascribed to Bhojaraj. Bhoja Vritti, Raja Martanda Vritti on Yoga Sutras. So he has this invocation. Yogena chittasya padena vacha balam sharirasya vaidyake. Yopa karotam prava munina patanjalim pranjali ranapos. Abhav Purushakaram Shankha Chakrati Dharanam Sahastra Sharatam Chetam Pranam Patanjali. Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham Sharirasya Balam Vaidyakena. There is Vaidyak Shastra to take care of your vyadhis. I don't say yoga won't cure. It is the incidental effect of yoga that the diseases are cured. Because the whole world will be pitted against me because people claim yoga has cured my cancer, yoga has cured my ulcer, yoga has cured me this, yoga has cured that disease, this disease. I'm not saying it doesn't cure. It does cure because of its processes. There are kriyas, there are asanas, there are mudras, there are pranayamas, there are japas, and there is a lifestyle, ahar, vihar, achar, vichar. Now that all will be definitely mitigating the diseases. But however, it is not a pathy. So yoga does cure diseases. I don't object it, the view. But yoga is not meant to cure diseases. It is meant for something beyond. Incidentally, it will do that. So suppose you travel between Pune and Mumbai, you will pass through Lonavala and Khandala. But then your vehicle is not supposed to go to Lonavala, Khandala, it will pass through Lonavala, Khandala. So yoga will pass through the disease stations and will tackle. However, yoga is not meant for that. Otherwise, Vyadhi would not have been the first obstacle. Dhatu Rasakarana Vaishamyam Vyadhi, Vyasa's commentary. Dhatu Vaishamya, Rasaka Vaishamyam, Karana Vaishamyam is Vyadhi. And that is indeed the Vyadhi. So it will correct it, but it is not aiming at it. Its processes are so magnanimous, so glorious, so inclusive. Yoga is so inclusive that it will definitely mitigate your mundane problems, worldly problems, health problems, physical health problems, mental health problems, emotional health problems. It has solutions, but it is not meant to give the solution. It is aiming at something else. If I aim at becoming a billionaire, I will be making thousands without doubt. Unless there are Ks, unless there are thousands, there cannot be a billion. So thousands will make lakhs, lakhs will make a million, million will make billions. So that's a part of billion. 1,000 is a part of billion. So health is a part of the yoga's endowments. So it is the bounty of yoga. It's the gloriousness of yoga that it is giving solutions to our mundane problems, worldly problems, health problems, etc. It is not meant for that. So we as Indians must have reappraisal about, and we must have something to say to the world as to what classical yoga is. So that's the duty and obligation of we Indians, because the world is going to look at you for yoga. And therefore, we should not be getting into the flow of propagation of yoga. See, even in agriculture or in botanical world, it is important to have clipping phase. If you cannot clip the plants at all, then it will be afforestation. So there is trimming of plants, clipping of plants so that they grow better. Otherwise, it will be afforestation. It won't be so productive. So we are only propagating. We are not trying to look at clipping. Somewhere we have to clip and not get into the flow. The momentum that we have got, we must ponder over sometimes. So, well, I don't know how valuable, but this is my personal opinion based on classical yoga, my reading of classical yoga. And as I was introduced by Bhavnani ji, as Acharya, I am not an Acharya, I am a Shishya, student of yoga. I am a student of the subject of yoga. I am not a master of the subject of yoga. I am not authority. I am one who just pursues the Yoga Shastra. Anyway, I hope that it is what I've said is sufficient. The time is up. All of you, namaskar for your patience. Namaskar, thanks for your participation. Thanks for the opportunity given to me. Namaste.
Dhanyavad ji.
Dhanyavad.
Once again, we are totally in awe of the beautiful exposition today and the way you have reminded us the purpose of yoga is yoga. The rest of it is the byproduct.
Correct.
A very beautiful, beautiful reminder. And again, I think your comment at the end that judicious clipping is required for the proper growth and development. I
Very true.
think we all at IYA should take this to heart because the responsibility of the Bharatiya is to safeguard the tradition in the appropriate manner. And
Very true.
you may deny you are an Acharya, sir, but for us, you have given us the wisdom. You are a living role model of that wisdom. And an Acharya is one who is a role model, a living role model of that wisdom. So, though your humility may deny it, for us, you have truly inspired us today, sir. On behalf of the Indian Yoga Association, I wish to express our gratitude and we
Thank
hope
you.
to have many more such sessions with you, sir, on
Oh,
different.
sure. Pleasure. It will be a pleasure.
Thank you.
Namaskar. Namaskar.
I will
Thank you.
conclude with a Shanti mantra.
Thank you.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I will allow the participants to unmute in order to say their own, express the gratitude to you, sir. Just one moment. I'm allowing all participants to unmute.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you
Thank
so
you for
much.
the wonderful session,
So
sir.
much. Thank you.
Thank you
Very much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so
Wonderful
much.
session,
Thank you
sir.
so much, sir.
So nice
Wonderful
to
explanation.
listen
Thank
you.
you.
Wonderful
Thank
session.
you.
And thank you very much, sir.
Nice Guruji.
It was
Sir,
beautiful
thank you.
section,
Thank
sir.
you so much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
Wonderful,
you, sir.
wonderful section, sir. Thank you
So
very
much,
much.
sir.
Thank
Excellent.
you, sir.
Excellent.
Thank you
Really
so much.
excellent.
Thanks for the different perspective of yoga, sir. Thank you.
So with this, we'll be concluding the session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so much.
It is a marvelous session, sir. Thank you very much.
you.